What if I told you it only took one game to completely derail the Star Fox franchise as we knew it? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about Star Fox Command, one of the worst entries in the Star Fox franchise from a narrative perspective as well as a gameplay perspective. To start this video off, I wanted to talk about the gameplay elements of Star Fox Command to really give you an idea of what it was like to actually play this game when it came out. Star Fox Command came out on the Nintendo DS back in 2006, and the reason why that is important is because it's one of the reasons why Star Fox has this stereotype of being the gimmick franchise to test out new hardware for Nintendo's consoles. For example, with Star Fox Zero, it utilizes the gyro controls built into the Wii U gamepad as a critical component of gameplay. So going back to Command, there are two elements when it comes to the gameplay, which is the RTS element and then you actually piloting the ship that you're using. Now for the RTS component of the gameplay, what you do is you use the touchscreen and stylus to choose where your wingmates go on the map to complete objectives in a certain amount of time, and they can move a set amount of distance depending on how much fuel you have left. But the critical component to gameplay here is how you control your aircraft throughout the missions, and a lot of it is dictated on the touch screen and stylus for you to get things done. For example, sliding and holding the stylus towards any edge of the screen causes the player's ship and targeting reticle to move in that direction. Holding the stylus closer to the edge of the screen causes the ship to turn in that direction faster. Moving the stylus in a circle or moving it quickly side to side will start a continuous barrel roll, which continues until the boost meter is empty. Double tapping the top half of the touchscreen starts the ship's boosters, while double tapping the bottom half slows the ship down. Both cause the boost meter to drain, and the player can cancel the booster break by either double tapping or holding the stylus and then letting up, or double tapping and then later tapping the screen again. And I'm just describing the gameplay. You actually doing it in practice is 20 times worse. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about as well, there were so many people that complained about how Star Fox Zero was gameplay-wise, where you had to use the Nintendo Wii gamepad to move things around and basically was a core component of how you played the game. But I will say this, at least it wasn't like Command where you were forced to use the stylus and the touchscreen to even do basic maneuvers with your aircraft. Either way, the gameplay was a pain in the ass with Command, but I'm not here just to focus on gameplay as to why this game failed. I'm here to talk about the number one reason why this game failed, and that was the narrative and plot surrounding Star Fox Command. Now, if you have not seen my Star Fox timeline video, I would highly suggest you go watch that first before coming back here and continue watching this video. The reason I say that is because this game takes place 2 to 3 years after the events of Star Fox Assault, and of course, the reason why we're going to be tearing apart this game and the narrative it's trying to build and how it treats its characters is because all of the things that we know about the Star Fox franchise to this point were built up over the last 3 games in the manga Star Fox Farewell Beloved Falco. So let's go ahead and dive straight into Star Fox Command. In the time that followed the events of Star Fox 64 and beyond, Venom had become known as a quarantine planet. Due to that reputation and the frequent patrols carried out by the members of the Cornerian military, it had been years since anyone set foot on the planet's surface. But after some time, Venom struck back with devastating attacks on the Lilat system. Any and all attempts at resistance were brushed aside, and soon all cities came under the grip of this new terrifying enemy. The occupiers were known as the Anglars and operated under the control of the Anglar Emperor. Their headquarters were located in the toxic Venom Sea, a vast ocean so inhospitable that it was believed no living thing could survive there. The Star Fox team was disbanded. Each pilot was living a new life, and it would prove a difficult task to bring the former team members back together. Starting off with Fox, he is living on his own with Rob as they navigate the Lilat system together. Peppy became General Pepper's successor and becoming the new leader of the Cornerian military. Falco was just a solo mercenary going from job to job rob whatever he could find. Slippy met and fell in love with a girl named Amanda and decided to leave the world of flying and start a new life with his beloved fiance on the planet of Aquis. Starwolf continued to be a thorn in the side of the Cornerian military, continuing to perform piracy and other mercenary actions that were evil across the Lilat system. And finally, Crystal, the lone female of the group who fought alongside Fox, fell in love with him, and despite the fact that Fox had returned the same feelings to her, he forced Crystal to leave the team because he was concerned for her safety. Now, with that prelude out of the way, Star Fox Command differs from other Star Fox titles because the choices you make in-game will determine what ending you get. However, there are a couple things when it comes to it that completely ruin this whole premise. You first have to go through the default ending of the game, regardless of the choices that you make, before you can unlock what's known as the Key of Destiny, which will ultimately allow you to go back and do all of the other endings that are in Star Fox Command. So let's now go through the story of Star Fox Command before you can even do any alternate path. We start on Corneria, where Fox discovers the Anglers have occupied all of the cities, advancing much faster than expected. Rob receives a transmission from Slippy, where he tells Fox and Rob that he and his fiancée Amanda made it to a planetary access point with no trouble, and that they're going to meet up soon. After completing this mission, Rob confirms Falco's current position, where they can meet up with him near the asteroid belt. Fox then wonders if they should call in Slippy, but Rob calculates that Slippy will only increase the combat ability by only 20%. Fox knows Slippy won't be happy to hear those numbers, yet Rob's success matrix calculates a 0% probability of success if Fox goes alone. Rob then tells Fox he would be best to gather together a group of skilled pilots to increase their chances of success against the Anglers. Fox considers the thought of skilled pilots and says that there's always the chance of getting back with Falco, and they decide to make their way to Fashina. While they're on their way to Fashina, we also get introduced to Lucy Hare, the daughter of Peppy Hare, who has now become a teacher of astrophysics in Fashina City. Fox had mentioned that Lucy always wanted to be a pilot, but Slippy talked about how because Lucy was good friends with Crystal, she might know how to track her down, but Fox cuts him off with the idea. After liberating Fashina from Anglar forces, Starwolf, who at this point are worried about the bounty that had been placed on them, emerge and attack Fox and Slippy, but subsequently lose. Back on board the Great Fox, Lucy shows up and informs Fox and Slippy that the Anglar attacks on Fashina are led by Andrew Oinkeny. Slippy points out the difficulty in fighting opponents without more information. Fox and Slippy receive a message from Oinkeny saying how he has waited for his revenge and that he was hired personally by the Anglar Emperor. As Fox and Slippy prepare to attack, Lucy decides to join them, and Fox eventually allows her to help. After defeating the Anglar forces on Fashina, Oinkeny appears and it leads to another battle with him, where you end up defeating him. After Oinkeny's defeat, Lucy decides to ask Fox about Crystal, somewhat catching him off guard. She tells him that she has been lonely and upset ever since they split up and asks if he will ever try to find her. Fox says he had to make her leave because he couldn't handle seeing her in danger, but Lucy makes him say how he really feels. Lucy then proceeds to tell Fox that she has to go to Corneria to see her father Peppy, and at the same time, Slippy asks Fox if they could stop by Aquis to see his fiancée Amanda. However, the sunken Aquis city comes under attack and they send a message to Falco to meet up with them on Aquis. Fox, Slippy, and Falco all team up to head under the Sea of Aquis to take on the Anglar forces, where they eventually defeat them and save Slippy's fiancée Amanda. After defeating the Anglar forces on Aquis, we return to the Great Fox, where Amanda is now fully introduced to the team, and more importantly, we get more information regarding Crystal. Falco informs Fox that Crystal had joined Starwolf. It is also mentioned that Starwolf is going to be cutting through Sector X on a direct course for Venom to try and take on the Anglar forces. Rob then interrupts the team to inform them that they're receiving a transmission from General Peppy, where he advises the Star Fox team that they ran into the Anglar Emperor and his best units in Sector Z, and Peppy requests the assistance of Fox and his team to take on the Anglar forces there. Fox, Falco, and Slippy arrive at Sector Z. Rob informs them of multiple Anglar contacts in the area. They are contacted by Crystal, who agrees to help them. Rob picks up enemy reinforcements and they launch their ships. After defeating the Anglar forces in Sector Z, Crystal tells Fox that she and Starwolf destroyed the base in the Venom Sea, but their ships began to corrode and they got separated. Fox decides to head for the asteroid belt to finish off the Anglars once and for all, and then find out Starwolf's fate. After arriving in the asteroid belt, the original assault team of Fox, Slippy, Falco, and Crystal take on the Anglar Emperor and manage to defeat him and the Anglars once and for all. After this victory, the team looked forward to a brighter future, but Fox kept his feelings for Crystal hidden from her this entire time. Months later, Crystal revealed that she could no longer stay on the Star Fox team and left Fox. Fox was despondent, and eventually Falco and Slippy left him alone. Crystal then rejoined Starwolf and proved to be one of the best and toughest pilots in the galaxy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first ending you have to go through in Star Fox Command to unlock the Key of Destiny to allow you to do multiple choices of what you want to do throughout the game, to go to other locations or maybe do different decisions, which will allow you to unlock other endings. Now, really quickly, before we get into the other endings of Star Fox Command that you can unlock now that we had the Key of Destiny, I just needed to talk about the way this first ending goes, because this is insane to me how you force the player to do this ending first before they can do any other ending in the game. To me, that signals that this is the canon way that you wanted the story to go. Even if that wasn't your intention, it just leaves a very sour taste in the player's mouth, especially if you're a Star Fox fan that played 64 Adventures, Assault, and now this game. It's just such a weird entry for the franchise. And a fun little fact, this is the last time that we have gotten an original plot to a Star Fox game since then. Star Fox Zero is just a retelling of the events of Star Fox 64. You then had the Starlink Battle for Atlas DLC that came out, which was a side tangent plot. But the thing is that we have now gone on 20 years without an original plot to a Star Fox game that just isn't the retellings of the Lylat Wars all over again. Now, with that side tangent out of the way, we are now going to go through all of the endings that you can unlock in Star Fox Command and what is the result of them. Fox and Crystal. The first ending that we go through features Fox, Crystal, Falco, and Slippy leaving Venom and returning to Aquas to meet Slippy's fiancée Amanda. Fox has learned his lesson and realizes the value of friendship and love. Upon leading the team, Amanda decides to join the Star Fox team to travel the galaxy with Slippy. With Venom purified, Dash took control of its evolution, and Dash was made the steward of Venom, and he began to rebuild a new empire in his grandfather's name. Starwolf returns. Crystal had joined the Starwolf team, and together they had become the heroes that they wanted to be. The citizens of Lylat praised Wolf, Leon, and Panther, but would not forgive Crystal for betraying Fox and his team. Crystal ignored the people at first, but soon found the insults unbearable and left Star Fox and Lylat altogether. She became a bounty huntress named Cursed and lived off the collection of the worst scum of the galaxy. Cursed eventually ran into Fox on the planet of Ku, and he did not recognize her, and it is unknown of what happened after this encounter. Lucy and Crystal. Having gathered on Corneria, Crystal, Cat, Lucy, and Amanda planned a party for the returning Star Fox team. The party ensued for many hours. Just before morning, Peppy and Lucy left to remember their lost mother and wife, Vivian Hare, who had died shortly after the Lylat Wars. Fox and Crystal also left, and the two confessed their feelings for one another. With Fox's promise of love, Crystal rejoined the Star Fox team. Dash makes a choice. Dash decided to stay on Venom after the fall of the Anglar Empire to fulfill his grandfather's wish. He continued to terraform the planet, and after many years, immigrants began to arrive on the newly reborn Venom. Eventually, Venom began to rival Corneria, and it was at the head of Dash's grand empire. One fateful day, Dash announced that Venom had become the heart of the Lylat system and denounced Corneria as its capital, thus plunging the Lylat system into another set of Lylat Wars once again. Slippy's resolve. After clearing Aquas of the Anglar forces, Slippy and Amanda were married by Rob. Years passed, and the two two had 7 children who enjoyed Slippy's often told stories of his Star Fox days. When countless years rested upon Slippy, he began to wonder what had happened to Falco, Crystal, and Fox. He wondered if they still crossed the galaxy, righting wrongs, but could only look up at the sky and wonder. Pigma's revenge. Falco was lost after defeating Pigma. Fox, Crystal, and Slippy had saved Lilat without him, and he had been left alone. In his darkest moments, Falco received a message from Cat Monroe telling him to make his own team. The two teamed up with Dash Bowman and created Star Falco, a team that rivaled even the legendary Star Fox team. The Curse of Pigma. Fox lived as one already dead after losing Crystal, his love of piloting, and all those that had looked up to him as a hero. It was only thanks to Falco that things began to brighten up as the two joined the G0 Grand Prix and became racing pilots, leaving behind the days of Star Fox. And in my opinion, the best ending left on this list is Goodbye Fox. With the Anglar Emperor defeated, Fox disbanded the Star Fox team and went to Soria per Rob's advice. There he met up with Crystal and promised that they would be together forever. The two were eventually married and had one young cub named Marcus. Marcus quickly found out that he had the same piloting skills as his mother and father. He soon followed in their footsteps and led a new generation Star Fox team with Peppy's daughter, one of Slippy's sons, and a previous member in Falco Lombardi taking over the role as the senior advisor like Peppy did in his elder years. What makes the last ending unbelievably hilarious is the fact that you get it by not interacting with Crystal whatsoever throughout the story, which is just insane to me. But even just trimming the fat on the story of this game and just telling you the endings as is, it just goes to show you how half-baked these particular plots were, and even by going through all of the other choices, they just feel like more so intermissions rather than actual endings to a story. The fact of the matter is much of the Star Fox community agrees that the Goodbye Fox ending should be the canon ending to this game, but because none of the endings are considered canon through Nintendo, many Star Fox fans just kind of go past this game and act like it doesn't exist. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like the idea of the Anglars being a force to be reckoned with as the plot to another game, but I think what they needed to do with this one, like any of the other Star Fox games, you just needed to create a story and stick with it. The branching paths, especially with how all of these endings are, except for one, aren't good. And again, I think that if they were to come back to this storyline, I'm praying to God that they don't take this formula and redo it again. But that's gonna do it today, ladies and gentlemen. That is Star Fox Command for you, and I do hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future content when it comes out. And I hope to see you guys next time.